All right, so moving on from the all defensive NBA, we're going to move on to all NBA first team. So, LeBron's 11-year streak ends. The all NBA first team is led by Steph Curry alongside James Harden, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Paul George, and Nikola Jokic. And then we will go to second team. Second team is Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, Joel Embiid, Kyrie Irving, and Damian Lillard. And then third team, finally we see LeBron. It's Blake Griffin, LeBron James, Rudy Gobert, Russell Westbrook, and then Kemba Walker. So, Justin, did they get this right?
So, what I'm going to do is, I believe on each team, I believe they made one great pick, and then they made one mistake. Going to the first team, I honestly don't have a problem with it. Giannis is a great two-way player. He can defend well and shoot. His shooting is all right, but, I mean, he still can lead an offense. Paul George, I mean, geez, when you need him the most, he obviously shows up. He's a very good player to complement Russell Westbrook. James Harden, I mean, what was it? He had 30 or 40 games in a row where he had 30 or more points. I mean, the man's a walking bucket. And Steph Curry, as we know how he shoots always every year he breaks the record for the most threes made in a season. And then the Joker, Jokic, for the Nuggets, he, I believe, is the best offensive center in the game. I mean, he can get 13 assists one game and still have 30 points. And he'll get you 15 rebounds. He's an easy triple-double. I mean, in the playoffs, I mean, they don't take all these stats and first team, second team, decide that from the playoffs. But in that one playoff game against Portland, he played 64 minutes. No big guys are going to play 64 minutes. They're going to be tired. And he still, granted he had more time to put up these stats, but he still had 33 points, 18 rebounds, and 14 assists. Granted, he didn't lead his team to win, but in those 4 overtimes, he played every single second of it, and he held them in as other players weren't really doing their part. I mean, Murray did decent, but besides that, he was holding that whole team together, and that's why they got as far as they did. So that I don't have a problem at all with the first team. The second team, Kevin Durant, yes, he's a great player. Could he be higher? I don't think so. Could he be lower? I don't think so either, honestly. I think it's a great fit for him. Kawhi, probably the second best two-way player in the league, or the best in between him and Giannis. But with Kawhi comes more offense, unlike years past where he only had mainly his defense to use. But he could be the only one I could see moving up to first team. Embiid, he's a great defender. But what's interesting to me is how can Joel Embiid make second team All-NBA, but Rudy Gobert make third team All-NBA? If the man won first team Defensive Player of the Year, how is he going to be a team lower in All-NBA? I mean, granted, yes, Embiid has way more offense. He can drop 30 including 12, 15 rebounds. But, I mean, it's kind of interesting to see that. Kyrie, I think that's a decent spot for him. It's one of his off years. But, I mean, even one of his good years, he'll make second team. So, I could see him maybe falling out of this group. And Dame, I think they got it right. I think Curry is better than Dame in regards to more points. He averages 2 more points per game. Curry averages a whole rebound more per game. But Curry averages a little bit less in assists. But as we know, Curry could shoot the 3 ball, and he averages 7 percentage points higher from the 3. And the field goal, he averages about 5% more from any shot around the court. And, I mean, their defense is kind of both the same. I mean, Dame might be guarding a little bit better. But, I mean, they're both unstoppable on offense for the most part. They both have very good shooting days, you know. So, on to the third team. Blake Griffin, I think that's a good spot. He had a pretty good year on a Pistons team that, you know, only did so much. LeBron, that was kind of shocking that he made third team. But, hey, can you be too mad? I mean, you made an all-NBA team. I mean, how upset are you going to be? You know, he played, 55 games this year? He can't do everything. I mean, granted, they sat him out like the last 2-3 weeks because the Lakers weren't going to the playoffs. But, I mean, he couldn't win with his supporting cast he had. And with that being said, he had to take everything on his shoulders, and that wasn't enough. So I think it's a decent fit. Maybe second team, though, but I don't know. He did miss a lot of games. That was really killing him. Gobert, like I said, with comparing Embiid, he's better defender, I guess, by a little bit, but his offense isn't there as much. But since he made the first team all-defense, they had to put him on one of these lists because it's going to be like, how is the defender with the most votes this year not even on an all-NBA team? So I can live with that. Westbrook, he had to be up here. He gets a lot of blocks, you know. He get a triple-double, so he gets a lot of rebounds, especially defensive rebounds, so that can help him. Plus, he gets quite a few offensive rebounds as well. So he's a good all-around player. Kemba Walker, I mean, doesn't leave me with a full question mark, but I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that one. Nick, what are your thoughts on the 3 all-NBA teams?
So, going over this quickly. All-NBA first team, I think they got a couple of them right. Obviously, you got the two MVP candidates, Harden and Giannis. That they got that right for sure. Then you got Paul George, who's arguably the unanimous first round all team defense. That could be up for debate for another day. And he is arguably the best scorer and shooter on the Thunder. I mean, he has a better 3-point percentage than Westbrook. He can make shots more often than Westbrook. They don't have the same playing style, so you can't really judge them on that. Jokic, I don't really disagree with it, but I could definitely see Embiid going in there, but I don't have a problem with Jokic being in there at all. I think that I know it's not a award based on the playoffs, but his play in the playoffs definitely silenced the doubters. He put the team on his back in the playoffs against the Trailblazers in that 4 overtime game. I mean, they didn't win, but he still, for a big man, for a center like that, you don't see that ever. So the one problem I actually have is Curry. I think that Damian Lillard could easily sneak into the first team over Curry. I mean, I see that Curry is a much better shooter than Lillard. Not much, but the 3-point percentage for sure. Curry shoots 43% from the 3. Lillard shoots 36%, but I mean, Lillard shoots 44% from field goal. Curry shoots 47%. But the main thing I'm looking at is win shares. Win shares is the estimate of number of wins contributed by a player. Steph Curry his average is 9. And Damian Lillard's average is 12.5. So that means that to his team. Now this is saying almost nothing for Steph Curry, but this is saying almost nothing for Steph Curry because he has Kevin Durant, and Kevin Durant's usage rate is actually very high. But this is saying a lot for Damian Lillard because this means Damian Lillard is very valuable to his team. He's very valuable when he's on the court. I mean, we saw what he did over arguably the best defender in the league, Paul George, to silence that series. I think that, I mean, I think this is the closest out of anybody on this list. So looking at the second team list, Kyrie, I don't think Kyrie's close to Harden at all. I don't think that, I mean, maybe Leonard's close to Giannis. I don't really think so. I mean, Kevin, I don't think Kevin's close to Paul George. Maybe he's close to Paul George. But, I mean, I don't even think Joel Embiid's that close to Jokic. But I honestly think that Damian Lillard's close to Curry. I honestly do. And I mean, Curry played 69 games. A lot of it is because of injury, I think. He injured, I believe it was his ankle, I think. But, yeah, going on in the second team, it's Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, Joel Embiid, Kyrie Irving, and Damian Lillard. For this list, I have nothing wrong with it besides Damian Lillard, obviously. Kyrie Irving, he's good point guard. He just can't seem to get it done in the East almost. But Joel Embiid, I could easily see him sneak into the first team. Kawhi Leonard. Now, it's saying a lot considering for him to jump to the first team, considering that, I mean, Giannis is there and he's arguably going to be the MVP. And it would be hard for someone who made the list to say, yeah, our MVP of the league's not on the first All-NBA first team. So, I mean, it's Kawhi Leonard and Kevin Durant on the second team, but neither of them are going to jump because on the first team, it's Paul George and Giannis, and I don't see Paul George falling out, but, I mean, it's something they got to live with. And then there's third team. Then there's LeBron here. The one thing I see a lot on social media is everybody saying that LeBron he's fallen off. He's not carrying his team. He can't really carry his team when he's only playing 55 games. And he's hurt I think he was hurt for 10 games with his quad strain. So look, this is his 15th straight. He tied Kobe Bryant, he tied Tim Duncan, he tied Kareem for most All-NBA selections in NBA history. I honestly don't think he should have been selected. I honestly don't. I love LeBron James. I honestly think that him and Michael, I think they're close. But I don't think that he should have been selected because he barely played any of the season. He played half the season almost. He played 55 games. He was hurt most of the season. There was literally no point in him playing the rest of the season because he was hurt. The season meant nothing. The Lakers weren't going anywhere. So there was literally no point for him playing. A lot of it comes down to what happens in free agency with the Lakers and whether, I mean, think about it. The last time LeBron's had an extra 2 months to recover after the season was what? 2004? 2004, right? It's crazy because he's made the playoffs 2004. So that's what? 15 years in a row? Well, it'd be 14 because he didn't make it this year. I mean, yeah, I have nothing wrong with the list besides Damian Lillard. I mean, I honestly don't even have anything wrong with that. But, I mean, I really have nothing wrong with it. What do you have to say?
So, I was doing some more research here, and I also want to ask this to you, Nick, but I want to answer my part first. So I want to see what player got snubbed and that should have made it. And honestly, by making one of these 3 All-NBA teams, if you're due for free agency, you're able to sign a super max deal compared to a regular max deal, and that's about $30 million dollar difference. So, person like Kemba Walker, yes, I'm not really upset, like I said, that he made it, but a player like Bradley Beal, who averaged practically the same exact numbers, the only big significance was the free throw, and that was by 5%. He just got snubbed, and he was the closest guard and closest overall that had the most votes to the third team that didn't make it. And so by doing that, like I said, he's going to lose about $30 million when it comes to contract time. Now, whether or not he gets re-signed with the Wizards, that's beyond me. I hope he goes to a team down here in South Florida, honestly. But jokes aside, he could have easily made it. It's, like I said, there's no difference at all. They both played all their games. They both literally average exactly 25.6 points per game, which is tied for 10th most in the NBA. So I don't have a problem with it going either way. It's just he kind of missed out on the money. Nick, who do you think possibly got snubbed that should have made one of these teams that didn't make it at all?
I'd probably say maybe Draymond Green. Maybe put him somewhere. I mean, Blake Griffin being in there, that's kind of like a red zone maybe. I mean, I don't have any problem. Maybe Karl Anthony Towns. I mean, he's a good big, but Draymond Green amazes me because him being a good defender, and even right now in the playoffs, like seeing this in the playoffs, what he's doing is actually crazy. I mean, again, this award is not based off the playoffs, but even the stuff he does is actually insane. So he averaged about 8 assists in the regular season. He averaged around, I want to say 1.5 blocks during the season. And he's actually an efficient scorer. He's not going to make every shot behind the line, but if he's open, he's not going to miss most of the time. He's probably on open shots, I'd probably say he'll make 1 of 3. I mean, that's saying a lot. That's not saying a lot because if you're an NBA player, I feel like if you have an open 3-point shot, you should at least make 1 of 3, but I don't know. I mean, Draymond Green is, I think, one of the best defenders in the league. One of the best. I'm not going to say the best because there's a lot of competition out there that is up there. But Draymond Green, the intensity he brings, and I don't know, I think he makes the team around him. He makes the Warriors a totally different team when he's on the floor. Whether it's the presence in the paint on defense or just him being on the floor on offense, being in the paint and actually driving, I think it makes a big difference.
Yeah, with someone like Draymond Green, I mean, I can kind of see him and compare him to like the O-line in football. Like, he doesn't get a lot of love. Like, people disrespect his shot, which, I mean, is kind of expected when you shoot like he does. But he kind of does it all for the Warriors. He's like that one dude that, like, just, I mean, if you want him to go run to the tree and back, he'll do it without even asking, and he can do that many times in the game. And they need a facilitator. They need someone that can pass it a lot and that doesn't mind not shooting, and it really helps their offense. And with them playing a lot of small ball, he can match up against many players while still defending them well. And he could still be the dude that's at the 4, maybe even the 5 spot if they really want to go small, and get those crucial rebounds that they need to continue the game. But, I mean, he's just a good all-around guy.
Right. All right, so the last thing I'm going to say, just to close this out, then we'll talk about the game tonight, or technically yesterday, because it is 1 a.m. where we are. But LeBron, this is his first time not making first team All-NBA since 2007. So that's saying a lot. It's not the lack of play. I feel like, yeah, while he didn't do a lot, I feel like the system he's playing in really does. It's not that it doesn't fit him. It's just that I feel like he's just not built for it. So with Frank Vogel coming in, I feel like it's going to be different. So next year, I feel like it's going to be different. So, and I don't think they're going to miss the playoffs next year. I really don't. I think that with LeBron having a 2-month rest in the offseason, which he hasn't had since early 2000s, I think that LeBron's going to come back. 34-year-old LeBron is going to come back better than we've seen him in a long time. So people who are, I see comments all over Bleacher Report saying it just doesn't feel right with LeBron not on first team, and this is crazy that LeBron's on third team. It's not crazy. He basically played half the season. It's kind of a gift that he's on third team. And I mean, he did put up numbers. He put up numbers, and he deserved to be on third team, but it is easy to not put him on All-NBA third team. It is easy to just not put him on this and put somebody on the team. But I wouldn't freak out, because next season I would expect him to be back in the flow of things, because Frank Vogel seems like somebody that LeBron would fit better with, in my opinion.